Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, GITTEN Pei Zayin. We are holding on Pei Vav Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. But perhaps let's just backtrack a bit. Let's go back to the middle of that Mishnah. So it's going to be 8 lines from the bottom. We'll learn the halacha and then go on back down to the Gemara, which explains that halacha. So we have the halacha in the Mishnah. It's the second line in the Mishnah. You have 5 husbands trying to save on their divorce expenses. They're going to join together and use the same document, the same get, for all 5 women. They've joined together as one collective group. And it says like this. Ish Pliny, Megarish Plinus. Reuven is divorcing Rachel. Upliny, Plinus. Shimon, divorcing Leah. And so on and so forth. You have a pair of Edim on bottom, signed on bottom of this, joint text. Kulan Ksherin, this get can be used for all couples, because it's one collective reference to all 5 as a group, and the Edim are relating to the entire thing as one. And of course you have to hand it and deliver it to each woman separately. But suppose there was a separate body, a separate text per person, per couple. Now we have the Edim on bottom. Now it doesn't work. Only the bottom text, right on top of the Edim, leading into the Edim relate to that text, to that couple, but not to the ones before. Says the Gemara. Let's drop down 2 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Now, how do we define what is called klal? What is called teifes? What is considered a collective text versus an individualized text? Hechidami klal, in which case the Edim relate to the entire thing as one. Hechidami teifes. What is considered teifes l'chol echad ve'echad? What defines that? What separates it? How separate does it have to be? How individual does it have to be considered teifes l'chol echad ve'echad? In which case they're separate. Rabbi Yehuda, it depends on the date, on the zman. Zman echad l'kulan. There's one date related to all of them. So the get starts with, on Sunday, and right, you have Reuven, Bimegarish, Rachel, and Shimon, Leah, etc. So it's one zman for all. Zeo klal, that considers them to be one group. Zman l'chol echad ve'echad. But if the zman was stated separately per couple, even if it's the same day, but it says, Sunday, Reuven, Megarish, Rachel. Sunday, Shimon, Megarish, Leah. Zeo teifes, that's considered a separation. Rish Lakish Amar, he's a more machmer than Rabbi Yehuda. Afilu zman echad lekulan, even if it's one zman for all, nami have a teifes, that's also considered a separation. Meaning, just because there's one date, that doesn't necessarily consider them as one group. What then is considered a collective reference to the entire group as one unit? You have to see it in the wording itself, in the way we relate to the names. The Kasav, he wrote like this. Oh no, Pliny. We, Reuven and Shimon, etc., etc. Girashnu, Neshesenu, Pliny. We're divorcing our wives, Rachel, Leah, etc., etc. So it's being referenced as one collective unit, as one grouped together as one. That's called klal. So even if you have one date, that's not enough. You have to have the names listed together as a group. Because if they're separated, Reuven, Megarish, Rachel, and then it says Shimon, Megarish, Leah, that itself affects a separation. We have separate references, separate gittin. Maskiv lo Rabbi Abu, I have a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Zman Echad L'Kula, Zeo Klal. He says, one Zman makes it one get. Lechush, Dil Mochas Musadi, Abbasu V'Dechasimi. Well, how does that guarantee that the Edim signed on the way bottom were relating to all those individuals mentioned in the get? Maybe they were merely signing the most recent reference. Most recent couple. signed right before the Edom. Written right before the Edom. Miloi Tanya, haven't we learned any Bryce? Edom chasumin al she'ela sholim beget. Suppose we have a full get on the bottom. It says something about go please ask give shalom aleichem to this and this person, and then the Edom are signed on bottom. We're concerned that maybe the Edom were confirming that last part of the get. Chashinon shema al she'ela sholim chasma. The get is possible because perhaps the Edom were merely confirming the shalom aleichem part of the get, not the crucial part of the get. Here as well, you have Reuven b'megarish Rachel, Shimon b'megarish Leah, etc., etc. Edom on bottom. Maybe they were only confirming the last couple. Answers the Gemara. Love it, malo. But haven't we learned a pshat on that brisa with the Shalom Aleichem? It's only a concern if Amar Bavo l'didim mefarshele li'minei Rabbi Yehuda. It was explained to me in the name of Rabbi Yehuda himself. It depends how the Shalom Aleichem is written. If you have the entire get, and then it says Sha'alu, go ask this person how he's doing, and then the Edom are signed. So Sha'alu without a vav that connects it to the previous portion of the get. Sha'alu, the Edom on bottom, that's no good puzzle, because perhaps they're merely testifying and confirming and certifying the Shalom Aleichem part. However, Vish'alu, so you have the entire get, and then Vish'al, go ask this person how he's doing in my name, and then you have the signatures kosher because it's all one continuous text, one uninterrupted document, and the Edom on bottom relate to the entire thing. Hachanami. The same thing in our Gemara. Although the names and the couples are separated, the chsibbe pleni upleni, who have the vavs which connect them, and therefore says Rabbi Yehuda, the Edom on bottom relate to the entire thing, provided they're sort of enwrapped together and covered by one zman, one date. Next question. V'su, the Rabbi Yehuda and the Amar. Zman lochal echad zeo teifes. According to Rabbi Yehuda, if there's a separate zman per couple, that affects the separation. And the Edom on the very bottom don't relate to everything, just the most recent get. My area teifes. Forget about this point that it separates them. We have a much more serious concern on hand. The Gemara at this point figured that each section of the get was written at a different point in time. So, the first couple had their section written on Sunday. Second couple was dated Monday. The third couple, had theirs on Tuesday. A separate zman means different times. And then the Edom on bottom are signed, but they're signed way later than Sunday. That's called a shtar mukdam. It's predated. It was dated before the signature. That's no good. The dates and the signatures have to match, have to correspond. It's like a get written by day and signed at night. It's just an example, Rashi says. It needs to be signed on the same day as writing. That's not a concern in this case. It was explained that follows in the name of Rabbi Yehuda himself. It's all the same date. Section 1 on Sunday, Section 2 on the same Sunday, and so on and so forth. And the Edom on bottom signed on Sunday. It's just that it was separated in terms of separate references to that date. That makes them separate documents. So we have two kashas on Rav Yehuda, and now we answer. Bottom line is, what makes them join together as one, and what separates them? The answer is Zman. One date is joined together. Separate Zmans, separate Gittin. Now, we're going to ask on Rish Lakish. According to him, that even if it's one date, one Zman, for all these couples, it can still be a separate, personalized, individualized get per couple. It's not considered one unit. What is considered one joint document? Where you have the text as follows, referring to them as one joint crowd. Oh, no, pliny. Gerashnu, Ganashaisenu, plainis of plainis. Reuben and Shimon divorced Rachel and Leah. That puts them together and groups them as one. And the Edom on bottom relate to the entire thing, and that's a proper get. Question. Nimtzu shtei noshim misgarshis begeit echad. You know, if you're doing it this way, if you're wording it this way, it turns out that you're giving one text to both women, and both women are going to be divorced using the same get. The pasuk says, "V'kasav la, v'lo u'lechaverta." You must write a specific personal get per woman. You can't use the same get for two people. The answer is the hadar. Kasav, after he wrote this collective nusach, he writes in an individual manner as well. Pleni girish plainis, or pleni girish plainis. So he pretty much rewrites it. So Rashi says this get is now perfect because it has both elements, both positive elements. Number one, he grouped them together, which helps us for the Edom. So now the Edom relate to the whole thing as one. And also he individualized it, in which case there's something individual per woman. Amalei Ravinu Ravashi. You know, we're saying that you shouldn't be using the same exact get for two people. What about the following brisa? A fellow owns two slaves, avadim kananim, and he gives away all his assets, everything, to both slaves. Kanu, so they acquire those assets, and they acquire, part of each other as well, because the Eved is part of his assets, right? So they need to release each other now, to free each other, and they're good to go. The Gemara figured he used the same document for both. And we know that, an Eved uses the same process as an Isha. We learn it through Gzera Shava, law, right? So just like an Isha can't use the same get as her friend, how can these two Avadim acquire their freedom using one document, the same document? The answer is no. V'lav ukimna, haven't we already discussed and confirmed that the case they were speaking b'shtei shtaris? Shnei shtaris. He gave one document to this Eved and another document to the other Eved, so they're not using the same shtar. Okay. So again, we have this Mishnah, right? The Mishnah tells us that Edom way on bottom. Do they relate to everything written beforehand? Well, it depends. If all men used a collective document, grouped as one, joined together, then the Edom relate to the entire thing. And it can all be used for all women. Whereas, if they're separated, then the Edom only relate to the most recent get, the one written right on top of the Chasimos, but do not relate to the portions written on top. Rabbi Yehuda says it's all about the Zman. One Zman for all makes it into one. Rish Lakish says no, Zman is not necessarily going to help us. If it was referenced as a group, then they're all together. But if they're mentioned, or they're named separately, then they're considered teifes l'chol echad ve'echad. Tanik v'ased Rabbi Yechanan, Tanik v'ased Rish Lakish. We're going to have a brisa in support of Rabbi Yechanan's approach, as well as a brisa in support of Rish Lakish. Tanik v'ased Rabbi Yechanan. Here comes a right to Rabbi Yechanan. Chamisha shekasru, klal b'seicha get. 5 men joined together. Ish plainim, garish plainis, 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 right? Reuben, Rachel, Shimon, Leah, etc., etc. But they're joined together with one Zman. Ve'edim al-mata and the Edom on bottom, kulam ksherim, they're all good. V'tinasin chalachas v'achas, and of course the get has to be given to each Isha separately. That's because there's one Zman covering everything. But if there's man l'chol echad ve'echad, a separate date per couple, ve'edim al-mata followed by the Edom on bottom, in this case, we don't apply the same idea. Rather, as she'edim nikroim imay kosher. The only part of the get that's kosher is the bottom part, right in front of the Edom. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseir Omer, well, there's another way of dealing with this. Im yesh revach beinein pasel v'mlav kosher. She'ein zman mafsikun. He disagrees. He says zman itself is not a separation. Separate zmanim doesn't mean separate gittin. It's all about whether there's a space. If there's space between the sections, then that affects separation. Otherwise, they're all as one. So bottom line is, the Tanna Kama, who is in line with our Mishnah as well, fits very well with Rabbi Yechanan's definition. The Zman is what determines. That's the right to Rabbi Yechan. Now comes the right to Rish Lakish. Tanya Kavased Rabbi Lakish. You have 5 men joined together in a get. Oh no, Pliny, there you go. Me and you and him, it's all collectively written. Girash nun shesena Pliny. And then the get itemizes it, like we said before. We need that as well. We need both parts. We need them joined together and then separated so that each Isha can relate to the get personally. Pliny Girish Pliny, right? Pliny Girish Pliny. Uzman echad lekulan. Ve'edim lamata. The edim way on bottom. Kulan ksherim, everything's okay. Ve'sinasan chalachas v'achas, and it should be delivered separately to each isha. Zman echad lekulan. V'revach. Sorry, zman l'chalach echad ve'echad. V'revach l'chal echad ve'echad. Now, in this case, where they wrote the get as a collective group, like we said before, okay? But in this case, this is the second case of the Bryce. In this case, they did some separation. They made a separate zman per couple, and there was a physical separation as well. There's some spaces. There's a gap between each section of the get, and then come the edim lamata. Here, it doesn't work. The only one that's kosher is the one on bottom. Esha edim nikroin imay kosher. Only the section, the portion of the get which reads into the edim, that's kosher. So bottom line is, we have a right to Rish Lakish, because this brisa started by telling us how to do it in a collective fashion. The nusach has to be joined. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, their wives, Rachel, etc. That's the way you join it together. And then we say the edim relate to the entire thing as one unit. That's right to Rish Lakish's definition of togetherness and separateness. And the Brisa does continue with another example where it does not work. So even though they wrote it in collective fashion, but if it was separated by Zman and a gap between the sections, that's considered a separation. He says, well, Zman alone makes a hefsek. So if there's a separate Zman, we consider it separate, even if there's no gap between the sections. Okay, so this is another shita. But bottom line is the Tanna Kama certainly is in line with Rish Lakish. That's all about the nusach of the get, and if they're joined together in the way it's referencing the couples, that's considered one unit, one joint collective group. And even then, it isn't smooth sailing if there were elements of separation as well. If there was a separate zman and a gap in the actual, there were some spaces, that would be considered separation. On that, says Rav Meir, even a zman itself, a separate zman per section, is deemed a separation. Now, Rish Lakish, my area zman l'chol echad ve'echad. Ha'amar zman echad l'kula nami tevis havi. Now the question is like this. The Brisa sought to present a case where it's considered separate sections. What is that? When there's a separate zman per couple. Asks the Gemara, well, according to Rish Lakish, how does that make a separation? What do you need? Why do you need a separate zman to make a separation? Rish Lakish holds even if there's one zman, for all of them it can be separate. It can be considered separate. Like I said before, it's all about how you word, the choice of words. Do you relate to the couples collectively or separately? Answers the Gemara, yeah, you're right. When does Rish Lakish say that, they're automatically separate, even if there's one Zman to all. That's when he didn't mix them together as a group. He wrote them as separate names. Right? But in our Bryce was speaking that he did reference all the husbands together as one group. So here they're sort of joined together. So how do you break them apart again? If you inserted a date per couple in, that's considered a separation. You've ripped them apart. You've ripped the group apart. But otherwise, there's no separate Zman. Why? Then they're a group because they're referenced together as a collective group. So bottom line is, when they're put together as one group, you have to rip them apart to be considered a separate entity per couple. How do you do that? So according to the Tanakama of the Brisa, you need two factors to undo that collectiveness: separate Zman and a revach, a gap between each couple. Okay, so in short, bottom line is, we have several families using the same get. That can work, even if there's only one pair of Edom on bottom, provided that it's klal. They're doing it as a collective unit, as a collective entity, as one group. But if they're separate, then the Edom only relate to the most recent one, the one on bottom. What's considered separate? What's considered together? Rabbi Yehuda says it depends how many times the Zman was written. Shlaka says, if they're named together as one, Reuven, Shimon, Levi are divorcing Rachel, that's considered a group. Otherwise, they're separate sections, separate entities. Continues the Mishnah. Shnei GITTEN sheksavan ze betzase. So we have one sheet of parchment with two GITTEN, one on the right, one on the left, two columns, right and left. Ushnayim edim ivrim baim betachazeh l'tachazeh. So you have two Edom who are Ivrim. They're your standard Edom, writing in Lashon HaKodesh, using Aleph Beis, which is written from right to left. So they're signing their names. Let's go Reuven ben Shimon, and then Shimon ben Levi, two Edom. They start under the right one and continue their signature under the left one. Okay, so picture it, you have a sheet of parchment, you have a get on the right, a column on the left, and Edom, two Edom going from the right to the left, Reuven ben Shimon, Shimon ben Levi. Ushnayim Edom Yevanim, you have two Edom who are Yevanim. They're accustomed to the Greek language and Greek way of writing. They're also signed from beneath one column, beneath one get, over to the other get. Now Rashi explains that we're speaking all four Edom are signing and using Aleph Beis. But in contrast to the Ivrim, who sign Reuven ben Shimon, and they mean to say Reuven is the aid and Shimon the father. Right? Reuven is my name, ben Shimon is my father's name. In Yevanis, in Greek, it's different. Somehow it means the opposite. So if it's signed Reuven ben Shimon, it really means Reuven's son is Shimon. Shimon is the aid. Shimon is the witness. So first comes the father, and then comes the son. Reuven ben Shimon means Reuven's son is Shimon. So that being the case, when you have all four signed one on top of each other, starting under one column, under one get, and continuing under the other one, so the question is, which get are they signing on? Right? The answer is, they're testifying on the get, which is right above their names, not their father's names, their own names. So again, if we have the right get next to the left get, and let's say the two Ivrim are the first two signatures, so it's Ruvain under the right get, Ben Shimon now under the left get. Then you have Levi starting from the right get, Ben Yehuda. So who are they signing on? The right get. Because their actual names, the name of the Edom, is under the right get. And then beneath them we have the Yevanim. Right? So we had Reuven ben Shimon, Levi ben Yehuda, right? Now you have Yisachar ben Zevulun. Just make it easy, we'll go down the Shvatim. Yisachar ben Zevulun. So, again, they're starting under the right get, Yisachar ben Zevulun. But here, he means to be aid on the left get, because Yisachar ben Zevulun means Yisachar's son is Zevulun. Zevulun is the name of the aid. So he's signing under the left get. That's where his name is. Then we have Dan ben Naphtali. Dan is writing his name under the right column. Ben Naphtali over to the left column. But really, he's testifying on the left get, on the left column, because Dan ben Naphtali means Dan's son, who is Naphtali, is the aid. So basically, you have two Eidim on the get to the right, and two Eidim testifying about the get to the left. Says the Mishnah, you would think we have two Eidim per get. No. Eshe Eidim harishonim nikroinim ay kasher. The only get which is kasher is the one on which the first two Eidim are testifying. So in our scenario, first two Eidim were Ivrim, going from right to left. It's an Eidus on the get on the right. If the first two Eidim would be Yevanim, so it's an Eidus on the get to the left. But we don't reckon with the bottom pair of Eidim. The Gemara will discuss this and explain why. Okay, so fairly simple case. Let's say they're alternating. Eid Echad Ivri, Ve'ed Echad Yevani. So we have the four Eidim, but it's zigzagging. Eid number one is an Ivri, who's basically going from right to left. And the next one is a Yevani, whose point of reference is reversed, right? Ve'ed Echad Ivri, Ve'ed Echad Yevani. Number three is an Ivri, number four is a Yevani. V'oid metachaseh l'tachaseh, whose signatures stretch from beneath one column to beneath the other one. Shneim Psulim, both are possible. Why? We'll see in the Gemara. Bottom line is, in the first case, where it's two Ivrim and two Yevanim, only the top two Eidim work. Suppose they're both Ivrim, right? The top two are the ones that are Ivrim. So Reuven ben Shimon, Shimon ben Levi. So only the get to the right is kosher, because the word Reuven, which is his name, is beneath the right get, right? Reuven ben Shimon, and then Levi ben Yehuda. So Levi is beneath the right get. That get is kosher, but not the get on the left. Why? Well, it's kosher. Let's allow both gittin to be valid. Hai Reuven, hai ben Yaakov. The word Reuven is beneath the right column. That's an edus, and itself is an edus. My name is Yaakov. That's fine. Sorry, my name is Reuven. That's fine. That's a chasima, even without my father's name. V'hai, and the get to the left has the other part of his signature, Ben Yaakov. He wrote Reuven ben Yaakov. So Ben Yaakov, the son of Yaakov, that's also enough. So he's really testifying on both columns. The now we have a Mishnah. Ben ish pleni edus kasher. You can write Ben Yaakov. That's fine. The answer is the kasher Reuven ben Akama, v'Yaakov eda Basra. So his name was split in this manner. Beneath the right column, he wrote the words Reuven ben. We thought it was Reuven and Ben Yaakov on the left. No, he split it down the middle. The words Reuven ben were beneath the right column. That's fine. And then we have the word Yaakov on the left, under the left column. Reuven ben Akama, v'Yaakov eda Basra. So that's not sufficient to make a signature. Why? V'liskasher hai Reuven ben. V'liskasher hai Yaakov. That's also considered a signature. Beneath the right column, you have the words Reuven ben, and Rashi actually learns we're going to interpret it differently than we thought before. We're going to interpret it as though it's in Greek, as though he's writing in a Yevani format. Reuven ben means the son of Reuven. That's enough to be considered Eidus. I'm the son of Reuben. V'leskasher hai b'Yaakov Eid. And the words Yaakov Eid beneath column number 2 is also deemed a signature. No, we have a mission. Ish pleni Eid kasher. You can say pleni Eid. It's enough. The lekas of Eid. He didn't write the word Eid. So again, you don't have much to go with. You only have Reuven ben under the right, and the word Yaakov under the left. That's not enough. Another option. Lo'ilim bekas of Eid. He did write Eid. So what's the problem with considering the words Yaakov Eid as a chasima? The adina b'hachasima to lav Yaakovu. There's one problem. We know that the handwriting, the signature, reflected in the words Yaakov Eid, does not belong to a fellow named Yaakov. So it's clear that it wasn't Yaakov who signed it. It was somebody else, Reuven ben Yaakov. So you can't consider the words Yaakov Eid as a reference to a person named Yaakov. So you can't use that as a chasim. Asks the Gemara, V'dilma v'shma davo chasim. Okay, I understand that, Yaakov Eid is not this person. This person is the son of Yaakov. But maybe he decided to use his father's, name as his point of reference. Covet to his father. He uses his father as a chasim, as a signature. So it's Reuven, the son of Yaakov, but he's using the words Yaakov Eid as a signature. That's a valid signature. No, leishavik inish shmei v'chasim shma davo. A person wouldn't, substitute his name and use his father's name as a signature. So that's not a proper. That's not a proper signature. Asks the Gemara, V'dilma samana shavye. It's true. A person wouldn't directly use his father's name as his own signature, but maybe use it as a simon. Sometimes a person decides to use a symbol, something. That's my way of signing. So even though it's his father's name, he likes to use it as his own signature. As we find many times, the Harav, Tzair Kavra, Rav used to make a picture of a fish. It's a good simon. It's unaffected by ein hara. That's how he used to sign his name. Instead of using words, he used to make a picture of a fish. Rav Chanina Charusa. Rav Chanina used to use a branch of a palm tree. Rav Chizda used to use a samach. Rav Hoshea Ayin, which is actually a letter in his name. Rabbi Barav Hunatzar Makusa, he used a mast of a ship. So perhaps he decided to use his father's name as a simon, as a point of reference to himself. So that takes us back to the kasha. Maybe he meant to sign both documents. Under the right column, he wrote Reuven ben. Under the left column, Yaakov Eid, which is another way of him signing his name. No, a person is not brazen enough, disrespectful enough to go ahead and do that. He uses his father's name as a simon for himself. Asks the Gemara, but still, I don't understand. Why can't we validate both GITTEN, both columns? Remember, we have 4 Eidim, 2 per get. So you're right, let's say the Ivrim are on top, going from right to left, they're certifying the right get. While the Yevanim beneath them, who are sort of going from left to right, right, like we explained, because when they write their names, even though they're writing from right to left, the way Rashi explains it, but the name of the actual Eid is on the left side. Because when he writes, Yisachar ben Naphtali, right, the meaning of that is the Yisachar's son, Naphtali is the Eid, so it's beneath the left column. But still, so the bottom 2 Eidim Yevanim should be certifying the left get, the left column. So each get has 2 Eidim. L'skasher hay b'shnei Eidim Ivrim. Let the get on the right be validated by the 2 Eidim Ivrim who have their own names beneath that column. And likewise, l'skasher hay b'shnei Eidim Yevanim. The get on the left should be validated by the Yevanim, whose actual names are beneath the left get. We have a Mishnah. Doesn't matter how you write it and who writes it and which language and what type of grammar you use. Get sheks kasvei ivris ve'edav yivanis. If the get was written ivris and the edam yivanis, yivanis ve'edav ivris, the other way around. Kosher, it's okay. But perhaps you'll say, kiva the muflag mishnei shtit and loy. The reason why you can't use the edam on bottom to be machshir the get on top is because they're separated. There's a gap, a 2-line gap, filled by the edam ivrim. So you can't use the number 3 and 4 slots. They're too far removed from the actual get. Is that a problem? That's only a problem when you have an empty space, which could have been filled with all kinds of forgery and conditions. But here it's filled. Nobody's tampering with the get. It's filled with edam ivrim. Even if the gap between the actual text of the get and the edam bottom are filled with, non-valid edam, relative, that's okay. The point is just to preempt any sort of foul play. Certainly in this case, you have 2 edam who are ivrim, followed by 2 edam yivanim. Let the edam ivrim testify on the right column, edam yivanim on the left column. Answers the Gemara. First of all, Hatani Zeiri Shnei Ksherim. Actually, Zeiri had a brisa that both get and kosher. He disagrees with our Mishnah because each get has its own respective edam. But Vatana Didan, what about our Mishnah, which disagrees? Why? There's a chashad, there's a concern. Technically speaking, you're right. Theoretically, both gittin could be fine. Dilma gundalis. Gundalis means abnormally. Chasam. Maybe they signed in a non-conventional way. Rashi explains that maybe they were simply copying the edam before them. So, for instance, if we have 2 ivrim followed by 2 yivanim, the ivrim, we know, put their own name on the right, Reuven, and then comes Ben Yaakov, right? Reuven Ben Shimon, whatever. So perhaps the Yivanim were just copycatting them. And they also put their own names on the right side of the line, and they're followed by their father's name. So basically all 4 edam are listed beneath the right column. Or it can be the other way around also. If the Yivanim were the ones who signed first, so basically their names are under the left, so maybe the Ivrim who follow them were copying them. And they put their own names also under the left side. So basically you can end up with just, one get being kosher, 4 edam on the same get. So you never know, perhaps one pair influenced the other, and you can end up with v'kulu achadu dechasim, and all 4 edam were really signing on one of the gittin, not on the other. Therefore we don't validate the second get. That explains why, in a case where the 2 ivrim signed first, we only mashal the get on the right, and that's it. Because we're afraid that the Yivanim who signed beneath them also put their own names under the right get. Now, let's say it's alternated. Eidechad ivri, ve'edechad yivani. It's ivri, yivani, ivri, yivani. The Mishnah says both are possible. Why? V'leskasher v'hai be'edechad ivri ve'edechad yivani. V'hai be'edechad ivri ve'edechad yivani. Same question. Da'atnan, as we have in the Mishnah coming up soon, eid echad ivri ve'edechad yivani kasher. You can do that. You can have one get with an eid ivri and eid yivani. Now, before we continue, we have to really know, we have to picture exactly what's going on. So the way Rashi explains it, so again we have, the get on the right, get on the left. And the 4 edam signed as follows. A little bit of an interesting arrangement. This is a little bit more complex than the previous case. We have 4 edam. Number 1 was the Ivri, Reuven ben Shimon. So he was going from right to left. Reuven ben Shimon. Now, Reuven is his own name, Shimon his father's name. The Yivani's name was, let's say, Levi ben Yehuda. So he wanted to join the previous aid in testifying about the get on the right. So he wanted to put his own name under the right column. How do you do that? He's Yivani, right? He writes everything backwards. So he was smart. He started with the left column. He wrote the word Levi, which is his father's name, under column B. And then he moved on to the next line, and he completed his signature Ben Yehuda, which is in his name, right? Levi is his father. Ben Yehuda, whose son is Yehuda, so that's the aid himself his name, under the right column. So now he's joining Reuven in testifying about the get to the right. Okay, so even though it's an Ivri with a Yevani, it works because it was spaced properly. Okay, so Reuven is under the right get, and so is Yehuda. Both names of the actual aid are beneath the right get, and it should be okay. And then the next two Eidim were trying to be made on the left get. So you have an Ivri and then a Yevani. So the Ivri started on that same line. Right? His name was Yisachar. Right? So he put Yisachar beneath the left get, Yisachar, and then he moved on to the next line, Ben Zevulun. Zevulun is his father's name. So the word Yisachar, which is the aid itself, is beneath the left get. And then comes a Yevani, Dan Ben Naphtali. Right? So he started from right to left because he wanted his own name, the name of the actual witness, to be beneath the left get, which he's trying to testify about. Right? So he put Dan under the right get line, the right column. But Dan Ben Naphtali, the word Naphtali, which is his name, right? Dan's son, Naphtali. Naphtali is the name of the aid, beneath the left get. So basically, the top two, the Ivri and the Yevani, are testifying, are being made on the right get, and the bottom two Eidim, Ivri and Yevani, are on the left get. So that should work. Says the Gemara, Tani is Irish name Kshir. Firstly, Ziri actually has a brisa that they're both kosher. Tana Didan, but our Mishnah disagrees. We don't want to take chances. Again, the same concern. Perhaps things got mixed up and people were copying each other, in which case you're not going to end up with a proper get. Dilma Gundal is Chasam. Maybe he signed abnormally. Utlasa Achad, V'chad Achad, which resulted in 3 Eidim on one of the GITTEN and only 1 Eid on the other one. How's that? So let's say, we have the Ivri on top. That's pretty clear, right? Reuven ben Shimon. Reuven's name is under the right get. That's fine. And then the Levani who followed him, who came right after him, Levi ben Yehuda. So we thought that Levi ben Yehuda was sounding like a Yevani. That's where he is, a Yevani, right? So Levi's son, Yehuda. Levi ben Yehuda means Levi's son who is Yehuda. And the word Yehuda is under the right get, so you have another aid under the right get. But maybe no, maybe he was following the format of the Ivri. That first comes your name, then your father's name. So Levi ben Yehuda really means Levi is my name, ben Yehuda my father's name. So the word Levi was beneath the left get. So basically you only have 1 aid on the right get. The first Ivri, Reuven ben Shimon. But the Yevani is on the left get. And likewise the other 2 Eidim beneath him are on the left get. And this can happen the same way the other way. An Ivri can emulate the Yevani and can pretty much follow his format, in which case you could end up with a lopsided arrangement. 3 Eidim referencing 1 get, and the lone aid referencing the other one. So it's not going to work. And you don't know how this happened. So you don't know which get ended up with the Eidim. Therefore the Mishnah says they're both treated as possible. Okay, continues the next Mishnah. Shir mikza saget uksave b'daf hasheni. We're in Bezdin, and we see a get here, which is a 2-column get. Okay, so part of the get on the right column, part of the same get. We're speaking about the same get on the left column. Ve'edim ulmata, you have Eidim signed beneath the left column. Kosher, that's fine, because it's 1 get, and they're referencing the entire get as 1. Chas ma'edim b'rish hadaf. But let's say Eidim decided to sign on the margin, on the top margin of the get, or on the side margin, or behind the text, in the back of the paper. Beget pashat, where it's a regular get, not like a get mekusher for the kehana, which has folds where the Eidim sign on the back. It's a regular get. You can't sign on the back. Possible. What about hikif roishe shalzeh? B'tzad roishe shalzeh ve'edim be'emsa. So a picture like this: you have 1 get, right, going from top to bottom, and another text, top to bottom, and you have 1 parchment, and both texts written head to head, and the Eidim are signed right in the middle of those 2 texts. So it's 1 parchment, 2 texts, 2 nuschos of the get, but they're head to head. The starting start of this get is next to the start of this get. And they're written properly, but in different directions. Ve'edim be'emtza, and the edim right in the middle. Between the two gittin. Shteim psulim, both are possible, because there's no edus on either get. Seif shel zeh, b'tzatzef shel zeh. Ve'edim be'emtza. But, let's say, they're end to end, not head to head. So you have one text, another text, on the same parchment. But instead of head to head, they're toe to toe. Right? They end facing each other, and they're edim right in the middle. So there, we can help it. The get, which leads into the, the way it's positioned, it leads into the edim. That get is possible, but the other one, the other side, is not kosher. Get shekasva ivris edim yivanis. The get is written in ivris, and the edim are in yivanis, or the other way around, yivanis. The eda of ivris. Or the get was written in Yavanis, and the edim in Ivris. So it's in a different language. Or even if it's one-on-one, Eida echad Ivri, Ve'eda echad Yavani. Halacha is that it's kosher. That's how the Bach is ger, is kosher. Now let's say Ksav Sefer Ve'ed. You have the Sefer's, the scribe's handwriting, joined by one aid. Kosher, it's also fine. The Gemara will explain why. And now we have all those, various variations of signatures and how they all work, even if they're incomplete signatures. Your standard nusach is, Reuven ben Shimon 8. Well, let's say it's just Ish Pliny 8. Reuven is an 8. Kosher, that's also fine. Ben Ish Pliny 8 is kosher. Ish Pliny, Ben Ish Pliny, without the word 8, that's also fine. Because of 8, that's also kosher. And in fact, V'kacha Yunikiya Das. Shibishleim Eisen. There was a special Nikei Hadas, very calculated people in Yerushalayim, who were very frugal with their words and with their everything was calculated. They would do it that way. They wouldn't write an extra word. They would leave out the word 8. Finally, says the Mishnah, in terms of writing the husband and wife's name, which typically is written as follows. Husband is, Reuven ben Shimon. You write Reuven ben Shimon b'Megarish Rachel bas Yaakov, right? But let's say he just wrote like a family name, like Evan Ezra, which is, it's named after the patriarch of the family, great-great-grandfather. Kasav Chanicha Soy, or Chanicha Son, in the case of the woman, same idea. It's also a proper form of identity, kasher works. Let's go back to that first case. A two-columned get. One get, part on this column and part on the other column. We say it works. Why? You know what? Maybe these were really two complete divorce documents. You had a divorce on column A and divorce on column B. Yisra Milei, and turned out that he was lucky that the location, the placement of these two texts worked out perfectly for him and enabled him to counterfeit it, to forge it. Zman de Kamov Eden Basra. So the Zman, which basically means the top part of column A, the top part of column A, was right opposite the Edim, the Basra. Edim is, the bottom portion of the get of column B. So instead of being perfectly side by side, it was lopsided. Column A was lower than column B. And this enabled him to forge it. Vegazi Lizman de Basra. So what did he do? He chopped off the top of column B, and the bottom of column A. And then he merged it. It looks like one continuous get. You have the first part of column A with the second part of column B merged together into one get. Why do you do this? Perhaps to circumvent some sort of conditions that were written in the get. So he manipulated his whole divorce by joining together, piecing together two documents. So how can we go and allow a two-column get to be used? Perhaps it was manipulated. Amar Rav Kashiyesh Revach Malamat was speaking that beneath column A, there was some space, some empty space, a big margin. So it's impossible that he chopped midway, mid-sentence, mid-text, because there's a space in between. There's a margin left. So it's pretty clear. It's indicative of the fact that this thing was, planned accordingly. It was meant to be, which is a 2-column get. V'dilma zman debasra megazgazia. Says the more, well, maybe what happened was that he started writing his get, and he changed his mind. He started writing column A, right in the middle. There was still some space to go, and he just decided to cancel, and say, I'm not divorcing. Now the get becomes batel. And then there happened to be another get written nearby, column B, full get, and he tried to chop top part and join together column A with his names, to column B and use it together. Says the Gemara, the same teretz. So maybe he chopped off the top part of column B, and he joined it together with column A. Just like we said a minute ago regarding the other question, was speaking that there was some margin beneath. Here as well was speaking that there was margin on top of column B. So it's unlikely that there was any text before that was chopped off. Because of, says the Gemara, maybe he had started writing his get, and again he stopped midway and he changed his mind, a change of heart, and then after a while, because of, he just continued on column B. I guess the fact that there is some space beneath the column A indicates that he had stopped the process, and then later on he decided to pick up from column B. Rashi says the space on the bottom of column A indicates that he that it was done incrementally in different sittings. And that's a problem, because once you stop and you change your mind, you're batel. You get us batel. So why is that not a concern? What happened was that the columns switch mid-sentence. So on the column A we have the words hari'at, and column B starts with the word muteris, which is one sentence, a very crucial sentence. Unlikely that he would have just stopped mid-sentence and picked it up, a month later. So apparently it was done in one sitting. But then maybe it did happen that he just, stopped mid-sentence. Kuli hay dechashinan, it's unlikely. We're not concerned about that. Rav Ashi Omar, I'll give you another teretz to all these kashas. Manipulation, forgery, counterfeiting, no concern. You know why? The idea be matchata de megilta. You see, Rashi explains. You have to know a bit of how they used to process parchments. He says they used to take a piece of skin and then stretch in all corners using some sort of clamps and stones. I actually once saw a sefer do that. It was in the Catskills in the summer. He had this skin. His name was Rabbi Yehuda Epstein, a chashav, a sefer. So he was making his own cloth for mezuzah. So he had this fresh animal skin, and he had these clamps, and he would just keep it stretched out like that in the sun. And then he would run over it with an instrument and keep on cleaning it and sanding it and smoothing it. So bottom line is, the perimeter, the margins are thicker, says Rashi, than the center, because they've not been shaven and scrubbed. So you can tell. So let's say in this case you have a piece of parchment, right? And you have column A, which continues into column B. Mishnah says it's kosher. It's one continuous get. What do you mean? Maybe, column A was really a full get, which was chopped midway, and then it was paired together with column B. The margin, the cloth on the bottom part of column A is thicker, which is indicative of the fact that it's the original cloth. Because when it thickens, that means we're heading to the corners, we're heading to the edges. So it's unlikely that it was a much longer cloth and chopped. Right? So this is a raya that it's a naturally produced get, no manipulations, and no forgery. Okay, let's do a quick recap of a quite complicated piece of Gemara. We have one Mishnah, and another Mishnah, and a third Mishnah. Mishnah number one, we have a simple halacha. Many couples can use the same get, despite the fact that there's only one pair of Edom on bottom, provided that it's all joined together as one group, as a collective entity. How does that happen? Rabbi Yehuda says one Zman for all. And the Gemara does add that there must be Vav HaMachaber, right? The names are connected with a Vav. Vav, him and her and her. This way it makes it one continuous Nusach signed by one pair of Edom. Rosh Hashanah says that's not sufficient. You have to actually collectively reference them as a group, and that makes them into one. Next Mishnah discussed the various ways of signing, the Ivri way of signing, the Yavani way of signing. We had two Gittin written side by side with 4 Edom beneath. So, in the first case, we have 2 Ivrim followed by 2 Yavanim, or vice versa. We say the get, which is referenced by which is covered by the first pair of Edom, that's the one that's kosher, not the other one. The Gemara explained why. And if it's back and forth alternating, both are pasul. Next mission discussed various locations where the Edom may not sign. And then we had a discussion regarding how specific does the Ed have to be. Typically you write, Reuven ben Shimon Eid, but even if it's just Reuven Eid, it's fine, or Ben Shimon Eid is fine, even without Eid is fine, right? Like in Yerushalayim, Reuven ben Shimon is fine. A familial name is fine. Chanechasa v'chanechasa is okay by the Ish and the Isha of the get. And we discussed how to preempt any sort of forgery and manipulation in a 2-column get. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rab.